Hello and welcome to the first video in some basic lessons on how to draw. I'm going to take you through a range of different things to do. We're going to start with the most basic things and then we're going to work our way up to hopefully in the end building a portfolio. So in this first video I'm going to take you through some very basic equipment, as you can see, which is a pencil. I'm going to talk to you about how it's best to use a pencil, the types of pencil that you want to be using, and different holds, different marks you can make, basic things of how to use a pencil and mark making. So let's get started. As you can see here, I have a brand which is Staedtler. I like Staedtler. You don't have to buy Staedtler. I find Staedtler give a nice consistent black with their lead, which of course isn't lead, it's graphite. And there's not often little bits of grit in them, and they're nice and smooth, and as I say, they're quite consistent. You don't need a big fancy range of pencils to begin with. If you watch other videos and you talk to art teachers, they're always trying to sell you something. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to get people to see that everybody can draw. So an HB is a good place to start. You might start with a B, you might prefer how soft it is, but really don't go any softer than a B. So we're going to start with an HB. That's obviously my well-used pencil, and you can see that I haven't sharpened it with a sharpener. I like to use a knife. Now, this is the set of knives that I've got. You can buy them very easily on the internet. They do actually, I've lost it, but it comes with a little blade remover at the end. So you can see it extends, it's just a craft knife. It's got these little marks on the blade, so that shows you that when they're blunt, you can put it down like that. You put the special blade remover from the end on the end and you snap it off. But I like sharpening my pencil with a blade. I find it gives you a much better point on the pencil. It gives you it longer. It doesn't put it through so much stress once you're a little bit practiced. So if I just show you quickly how to sharpen with a blade, you don't extend too much of the blade, you only need a little bit. Hold it in your hand like that, put your thumb here, and you brace your thumb on the end, and you push it forward with your thumb, and you're controlling the angle with this hand, or if you're left-handed, then the other way around. And you just push down like that, and you get really quick at it eventually. Don't worry about it if it all goes wrong the first time. It does take a bit of practice, but you know, I've taught 11-year-old kids in secondary school how to do this, so I'm sure that you can master it if you haven't already mastered it and you're used to this way of using a pencil. Some people will say that they like drawing with a propelling pencil like this. Some people call them clicky pencils. You can buy them 3 for not very much money at most local shops like your supermarket and so on, things like that. Now these are great for making a line. My father in particular likes using these pencils, but they're not much good for actual drawing. So if you're starting this lesson and you've got one of these, put it to one side, pause the video and go and get yourself a proper pencil. It's really important. Next thing you're going to need is a decent rubber. This is just a decent plastic rubber, any sort of plastic rubber. Again, Staedtler make rubbers. As you can see, this is a Helix. All sorts of different rubbers. You want something that's not gone yellow. Plastic rubbers are good because they stay nice and soft, and you can see that it's a nice soft rubber. So that's the sort of rubber you want. And paper, in terms of paper, you don't need any fancy pants paper to begin with. This is just the cheapest sketching paper. It's very thin. I think it's about 80 GSM. I can even look for you and tell you how many GSM it is. Oh, 75 GSM. Good guess on my part. Thin paper for drawing to begin with, and it's smooth. It's not knobbly and bumpy, so the paper isn't toothy. That's what we call paper that's knobbly. You don't want toothy paper to begin with, and you don't want any fancy pencils. You just want a decent brand HB pencil, and some copy paper at your printer will do if you can snaffle some of that. I've got a nice big Padlet, so I've not got the wood of the table showing through when I make some marks. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up the pencil. Now most people pick up a pencil and they start to draw and they do this. Now, there's a number of things wrong with this. As you can see, I'm holding it very close to the end, and I'm applying quite a lot of pressure because you can see my fingers are going white. But we're drawing, we're not writing. So you need to extend a little bit more there, and it needs to be a much looser grip. Nice loose in the wrist, and nice and loose in the elbow, and nice and loose in the shoulders. So if you're sat there watching this video and you've got really tense shoulders and you're gripping the pencil like you're trying to kill it, then relax, because that's the first thing you do. Nice and floppy, take a couple of breaths, move your shoulders around a little bit, and we're going to start making some lines. Now, when you make lines to begin with, you want to be just try making some really thin lines, really close together. You'll recognise this pattern of what I'm doing when we come to be doing painting later on. So if I press hard, I get a thick line. If I lift off, I get a thin line. Press on, lift off, press on, lift off, press on, lift off, press on, lift off. So try it yourself and see what sort of marks you can get. So this is all just lines and mark making. If you press on, lift off in short strokes, you get hatching. If you press on, lift off in short strokes and then cross them over, you get cross hatching. If you press on, lift off, making scribbly marks, then you get, well, I think people call it sgraffito or something, but you can make all sorts of marks. So get your pad of paper and just see what sort of marks you can make. Now, we're thinking about shading, or going to be thinking about shading by the end of this, so you need to be making more marks closer together and pressing harder where you want it to be darker, and less marks, lighter, further apart where you want it lighter. Now you might think, oh, that's flipping obvious. Yes, it is, but if you have a go at doing that, make yourself some little boxes perhaps, and start doing different types of shading in each one. Make 6 boxes or 8 boxes and see if you can find a different way of shading in each one, like combining and doing things like that. It's just a fun little exercise. You can do it while you're watching TV, or have this on your lap on a beanbag tray, or you might be, I don't know, if you don't get car sick, you might be doing it in the car while somebody else is driving. Just have a little go. Apologise about this camera angle. If I touch it, the whole thing's going to fall over. The other thing that we can do after we've made some marks with the end of the pencil is pinch grip. So pinch grip, a lot of people get pinch grip wrong. They put the pencil on its side and they flatten their hand and they do something like that. Well, that's quite uncomfortable and it's not very well controlled. So the best thing with pinch grip is you put the pencil down and then hand like a bird's beak, pick it up, put your finger on the end. Okay? Now you can do a proper pinch grip. So again, try going from dark through to light and see what you can get. Try doing some hatching and some mark making like that. Maybe try combining it with some of those other marks that you've got. If you want a nice ordered page, then fine. Divide your page up, try different things in each box. If you want to be a little bit more organic about it, just go on filling the page. Try pressing on, lifting off in spirals. Have a little bit of a doodle and have a little bit of a play. So there's some basic marks and some basic shading skills. Have a little practice, and when you're ready, have a look at the next lesson. If you want to mix it up a little bit, you can try using some of your other basic equipment. Okay, we'll cover more things to do with your pencil and drawing from observation in the next lesson. I hope you enjoyed that and have a practice. See you again.